On this episode of BlockHeads Garage, we're going to show you how to fit some fat meats underneath your E30 using some eBay flares and some hammer. And some cutting and some welding and some more hammer. But we'll get to that later. Going to show you what the hard parts we're going to be using for this project. The 225s on the V8 were marginal at best, so I kind of wanted to step up to a wider tire, and there's not a whole lot out there for 15, so we decided to step up to some 17s. These are some 17 by 9s. I believe they're STRs. They are a 20 offset, but for this setup, just to clear our struts in the front, we're going to have to run like a 20 millimeter spacer. So we're going to end up with basically a zero offset wheel. We're running 255 40 17 Bridgestone RE11s. I've read a lot of reviews and looked into trying to decide what tire to go with, and Tire Rack ranks this #1 in the performance category. So I thought I'd give it a try. It's got really good reviews, so we're going to see how she does. We have got some just cheap Chinese eBay flares here. They're kind of flexible, so you can conform them to your wheel well. We're going to be doing cutting on sheet metal anyways to clear these big tires. These are about 2 inches taller than what we've been running, and about 1.5 inches, I think, wider than what we've been running. So we'll show you how to install these and what it requires to clear these big boys on your E30. Okay, well, since we've already got our holes drilled for our flare here, we're going with this bigger 255 40 17. So we need more clearance because we're keeping it the same right height. So we're basically just re-arching the wheel underneath where the flare is going to go. So I went in and ground the paint off so you don't have it chipping and stuff. I'm going to repaint underneath this anyway. So the way I roll fenders in this way, I've done them in 4-wheel drives like this, is just taking cut slits, small slots, then take a pair of pliers that have like a wide head on them. Also seen guys take solid stock and just cut a slot into it and basically just get her started over. Once you got it that far, take a hammer and just beat it over, and then we'll take another hammer and use it as a dolly on the outside and pinch it over where it ends up looking like this. Basically, you could leave it cut, but with this rounded edge, you're less likely to cut a tire if something were to happen. So we will continue on and show you how it goes. Alright, there's the fender all rolled up. We ended up cutting probably a total of 1 inch out, and then rolled over probably a 3/8 of an inch to clear our bigger tires. Don't worry about this, you won't ever see it underneath the flare. It's not show quality. This is a race car, but that's what she looks like. Now I'm going to take and mask off right above all these holes, so that I'm just going to paint this whole area black, so I don't have to worry about this rusting or the holes rusting. And I'm not too worried about the rest of the paint. It's going to get dipped here real soon, hopefully. And so, there we are. Okay, so we showed you the cut that we had to make on the other side. I'm just going to let you know real quick. This front corner here of your fender well, especially if you're running M3 control arm bushings, the offset ones like we are, which makes the front rack and it gives you all that caster, does move it forward. So we had to clearance this in here. You can take and cut it out and re-weld it if you want. I'm not going to show you this because this is very ugly. We used our favorite tool here, the BFH, the big farm hammer. So we just beat that back until it cleared. So the tire's got full lock front to back, doesn't have any problem. To attach our flares, you can use rivets, you can use sheet metal screws, whatever you like. I decided to go with these button head stainless steel bolts. I think they turned out looking pretty good. You can get them at your local hardware store like we did. We're using a nut on the back side of these front ones. And you don't want to get them too tight because these flares are rather thin, so you got to be careful with that. We're just using a serrated lock nut on the back side. And just getting them a little snug. You get them too tight, you might crack your flare. So that's this side pretty well wrapped up. So we're going to move to the back and start cutting on that one. I think that one's going to be a bit more work involved because I think we're going to have to re-weld the entire inner fender, but we'll see when we get there. Alright, so we held the flare up here, and these don't come pre-drilled, so you have to drill your own holes. So I was just holding it, eyeball it, look where it looks good, and we would just punch holes and make marks. So the back here, I think you could actually get a nut on the back side if you used a really long bolt, but I got this nifty nutsert tool. We'll actually put a threaded insert in the sheet metal, hopefully. So that's what we're going to try to attach that with. It did require us to trim off a little bit off the back here. These are not meant to fit an E30, they're just a universal fit, so you may have to grind, like we had to do a little sanding on the front. So we're going to try the nutsert tool and see what she does. Cool. So now we have a threaded insert in the body where we just mount our flare. So we're going to do that with these other holes and bolt up our flare. Okay, so it may seem like we did this in a little bit backwards fashion, but I wanted to get my holes there so I know the highest point I could cut the steel back, because right now we're sitting at right height and you can barely get your finger between the tire. We've definitely passed the shoe test right now. Can barely pass the finger test. So basically what we're going to do is cut just below all these holes, probably about a ½ inch below them. That'll give us enough sheet metal to roll under, just like we did with the front ones we showed you earlier. So this does have an inner fender well that we may have to deal with when we start cutting, and we may just tack weld it back up and put some seam sealer in at a later time. So that's about all we got time for tonight. So we're going to come back tomorrow and see how far we can get then. We'll see you. Alright guys, so we showed you last time we were here. We put in our rib nuts, and we're going to take and I'm just going to draw an imaginary line in my head. None of you can see it, only I can. But I'm going to cut along here, and we're going to end up cutting the inner fender as well, and then rolling it all together and tacking it back in place. So here goes nothing. So we cut our line here, and don't worry about how ugly that is, because it's all going to be underneath the flare, and we still got to roll under and stuff. But we always suspected this car had been in an accident at some point, because the inside of this fender well is gray. Whenever we took the interior out to do the cage, and if you come in here close, I'll show you. That looks like to me 1, 2, 3 layers of steel and a layer of Bondo, and whatever the heck these little blobs are. You E30 aficionados can tell me if that's normal or not, but I think this has been reskinned, so it's not like we're cutting up a pristine example here. Thank goodness. This is our inner fender well, and it's definitely got some welding and stuff that is not original, but you can come in here and see we took and cut out a lip inside here. And now we're going to just take and cut, like we showed you on the front fenders, take and cut just slices and then slowly roll them under. And then I'm going to take and tack weld them to that inner fender. And I've got a future plan of foaming the frame rails and stuff in this. We'll get to that later, but I think I'll come in and foam over the top of this too. So I'm going to get back at it. So you saw me, I cut these and folded them under. And the way that we did this, by cutting that inner lip out and folding this over, we almost pinched that, well we did, we pinched the inner fender well against the fingers that we had sticking out here. So really, if you don't have access to a welder and you're doing this in your driveway and don't have access to a welder, this is pretty darn solid. I'm going to go in and tack and kind of fill in these spots, so in case the tire does come up and rub, it's not coming against these teeth right here. But we're going to tack these on the inside and go in, and just like we did in the front, paint everything back with so that we don't have to worry about rust and stuff, and then we'll be bolting our flare on for the last time, hopefully. Alright guys, so we got her all buttoned up and finished. All the flares are on. I've gotten a chance to do a little driving with this setup on, and the difference between the 225s and the 255s was crazy. Car still feels light and nimble, and not a big difference in the steering as far as effort going to the wider tire, but this thing just sticks way harder than it used to. And I went from being at the bottom of the pack typically to I was top thirds, which is mostly this guy, not the car. That upgrade was really good. And so far really pleased with it. Quick update on all the other projects we got going. The Baron, next time you see her, she will be getting the RX-7 and VW brake setup. We're going to do some stop tests before and after to see the difference between our stock brakes and the RX-7 different setup. The Toyota that you've seen in the road trip video and a couple other things is going to be getting turbo soon. We got a donor truck. It's got a full turbo system in it. If everything works out right, we'll be turboing that soon. We got other small projects here and there. We got a Porsche that we're going to probably be seeing some of. Other than that, we got a road trip coming up that you're not going to want to miss. Speaking of which, if you are looking for any more E30 content, the guys at Salt City Heroes are doing an incredible job right now. Those guys are turning out some amazing videos with some of the best videography and best editing I've seen as of late. Really enjoying their stuff. And they have a wagon, which I'm jealous. Other than that, guys, I'm going to let the camera walk around and show you what this setup looks like all finished out. Catch you next time.